men are just used to powerless women, and they're seeing this new generation of women that are not waiting to be rescued.
Well, guess what, honey? If it was wartime or something terrible was happening, you couldn't rescue yourself.
Remember, as mammals, we have defined roles. That is not instinctual for men to stay home and nurture their young.
I'm surprised that this woman hasn't been banned and haunted by just saying something as simple as what's instinctual as a male versus a female.
Would you say that divorces are initiated most by men or by women?
Women, 90% of the time.
You heard it from the divorce attorney right there. And why it's a great response. Let's unpack this. Hello. Welcome to a brand new edition, brand new show, the Jedediah Bila Show. I'm so glad you're here. Before we do anything, I want you to hit that subscribe button. I see y'all watching. You got to click, and hit that like button. You know I love you. All right, we are going to dig right in today and see what's shaking.
I think men are just used to powerless women, and they're seeing this new generation of women that are not waiting to be rescued. They're not waiting to be saved, because we've seen where that have got our mothers, our grandmothers, or even just other women. Women started believing in themselves more than believing in a man will rescue them. And that's when we started becoming unshakable, unstoppable, with standards and boundaries. And men are scared because men are raised to always get their value from a woman needing them. They're not used to leading without just holding you in a prison, making you dependent on them financially. I want to depend on my man, but not only financially.
Oh man, how do you even dissect this mess? Again, this is the feminist mindset. This is the modern woman. This is what's all over media. This is what's all over the internet. This is what's being told to young girls. This is the brainwashing. This idea, and there's been a huge backlash against Disney movies and stuff like that, where, you know, like Snow White, for old school Disney movies. Let's not talk about the woke ones that are coming out now that are a little creepy. But the old school Disney movies like Cinderella and Snow White, y'all saw the new Snow White. I didn't, because I didn't want to spend, 2+ hours throwing up, nauseated. But, there's a rejection of this woman that needs to be saved, or this, what they call, I remember in college taking courses and feminist studies teachers saying, don't be a damsel in distress. Remember, I don't know if any of you remember that. This idea, of a woman, in a dire situation that gets rescued by a man. This Prince Charming gets under their skin in the most incredible ways, actually. It's lovely to witness, because they can't stand the idea that they can't rescue themselves. Well, guess what, honey? If it was wartime or something terrible was happening, you couldn't rescue yourself. You would need that big, strong man. And you'd be the first one to jump behind him and take your children, as you should, by the way, and jump behind him and let him fight that war for you and let him fight that battle, whether it's a battle in your home where there's an intruder or something, or whether it's a real battle, right? It's amazing that women suddenly realize that they are women, and that you are the more physically fragile sex, and that you aren't a man with testosterone and masculine energy. You know when they realize it? When shit really hits the fan. When there's a crime that happens and they have to run for protection. When there's someone breaks into the house. It's like it takes dire straits for women to realize, I need to jump behind my big strong man, because it's his job to take care of this. And it's not my job, and I couldn't do it in my biggest dreams. It's amazing how everyone falls into their feminine and masculine roles in times of horrible tragedy and crisis. But it takes that, right? Otherwise, life's looking, I have everything. I can just spew this. I'm a strong woman. I don't need a man. Men are powerless. I can just say this from a microphone with all my makeup on in a beautifully lit studio. This is what she's doing. You're in fantasy world, honey. You're in fantasy world, honey. And then they always say, like, if you don't really stand up for yourself, you'll wind up where our mothers and our grandmothers. Where was that? Because both my grandmas were pretty happy. Yeah. My mom, she's pretty happy. She didn't have to work. She worked sometimes, and sometimes she didn't, right? When I was little, she didn't work. She was home with me. And she loved that my dad got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and went and worked, drove all the way to New Jersey from where we lived, which was, an hour plus, and then all the way back and worked, until 7 p.m. so she could stay home with me. I don't know. That doesn't sound so terrible to me. And she looked pretty happy. So when they say this, what your mothers and greats, it's like every one of the generation where women actually were in their feminine, everyone was miserable. Everyone was trapped. Everyone was in a prison. It's horseshit. It's really horseshit. A lot of those women were not unhappy. It's like, look at your family. Go ask around. Were you miserable? They're going to be like, I get just to see the answers that you get. She even uses the word prison. Imagine being raised to think that if you live in your feminine energy and you don't do a career climb and you're not focused on, building up your testosterone to compete with a man, that you're somehow living in a prison. Honey, the only prison that you wind up living in is the prison of your body when you try to be a man and act like a man and build your hormones up to be like a man and act like a man in a man's world and be, the same as him, because you're not designed to do that. Your hormones aren't designed to do it. Your body's not designed to do it. Your mind's not designed to do it. That's the prison that you set for yourself when you decide to abandon your femininity and embrace masculinity in a way that's just not going to work for you because you ain't a man. She also, this perception of men being scared by women is out there. Men are afraid of women. Men are afraid of powerful women. They're not, how do we say it? They're just turned off. They're not afraid of you. What are they afraid of? What can you do as a woman? Really? What can you do that's intimidating? Really? I'm not talking about you reject him at a bar. Oh no. How will he ever pick up the pieces and carry on? Nothing. There's nothing to be intimidated by. I hate to break it to you. And that's why women get upset, because there's nothing to be intimidated. What are you going to be intimidated? What really? What are these guys so scared of? What are they scared of? Nothing. They're not scared. They're turned off. They don't like your energy. They don't like you espousing this horse shit all the time of, I don't need a man. And, when women really acted feminine and men acted masculine and women were taken advantage of and men are such horrible beings that you have to protect yourself from them all the time. And I mean, maybe they're just like, would that be appealing? Oh, I can't imagine why they're not rushing to wife you up every 5 seconds. All you women espousing this nonsense. This is not unusual to hear. You will hear it over and over and over again. Gut it out of you, reject it. Bye. You hear a woman that talks like this, see you later.
What's your age?
32.
What do you do for work?
I'm a divorce lawyer.
How long have you been a divorce attorney?
Since 2016, I've been practicing, and then 2017 officially barred.
Do you think that sexless marriages can work?
No, and 100% every single time. I mostly work for men, so every single time they're in a consult with me, I'm always hearing, I haven't had sex in 10 years, I haven't had sex in 5 years, I haven't had sex in 15 years, and I'm like, here we go again. The sex talk every single time. So it's like you need to make sure you're doing it 2 to 4 times is ideal.
So a lack of sex in these marriages is the most common theme that you're seeing when they end.
Yeah, because it's connected to more of that. It's not just physical. It's like, all right, well, if you're not into someone and you're disgusted by them and you're pissed off at them, you're not going to be having sex with them, right?
Okay, let's stop there. Let's stop there for the first half. Oh man, divorce attorney, right? So she's telling you the truth, right? Interesting to just be doing a man on the street and you stumble into a divorce. Ooh, that's kind of a nice get. This idea of 10 years, 5 years, 15 years without sex. Can I ask these guys, because it's happening to the guys, right? This is not the other way around. I told you there's 2 instances I know of had that was really bizarre to me. And I was like, oh, really? He's not sleeping with you? He doesn't want to? Honey, who is he sleeping with? Because guys just aren't going without sex for that. Come on. Don't be an idiot. 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, guys, you're going without sex. Why didn't you put your foot down? Why didn't you let that happen for you in a marriage, and you're letting it go 5 years, 10 years, 15 years where you're not getting any? This is horrible, horribly destructive, by the way, completely unhealthy. You can't have a successful marriage without sex. You can't, because it's important. It's a form of connection and intimacy and bonding, and it keeps the spark alive. It keeps all the butterflies alive from when you first get married. And there's always this like, oh, well, men get married and they stop having sex. Well, why is that? Because they're a bunch of pushovers. That's why. Because they don't say, hey, honey, when I married you, this was happening. It's a healthy part of a relationship. It's going to keep happening, or something's going to give, right? They just sit. Oh, honey, tonight? No. Okay. Right? And frankly, guys, listen. If she says no, I'm not in the mood, and I'm not talking about doing something that's not consensual or aggressive, or don't twist what I'm saying. Audience, some of you are a little, I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying if you're going to your wife over and over again, right, and you notice a pattern here, and you don't say something, you don't say, listen, this is not what I signed up for, and she knows that she's walking all over you, your attractiveness goes down even further, right? She's going to want to have sex with you less and less and less, because you're just like, oh, honey, not tonight. Another headache? Okay. Instead of saying, hey, listen, you can't have a headache that many times. So I want to know, are you doing it with somebody else? You flirting with somebody? What's going on here? What happened in our marriage that went south, and how do we fix it? Because I want to fix it, and I want to fix it today. And if it doesn't get fixed, our marriage is going to crumble. And I want to know now, Maybe this isn't working out. This is a healthy part of a marriage. This is important. How do we fix it? Are you not signing up to fix it? Because I need to know that now too. Really, you have to have these conversations as a man, right? As a man. If she says, well, I'm not attracted to you, that's a problem, right? Hear her out. If she's like, oh no, I'm not in the mood today. And then you're going to have that go on for 15 years? Honey, come now.
Would you say that divorces are initiated most by men or by women?
Women, 90% of the time.
Why is that the case?
I think that they yap with their friends, and I think they get real frustrated where guys are like, I'll get to it tomorrow. And I think the women just get in their heads and they're like, all right, I'm done.
Okay, let's stop it. You heard it from the divorce attorney right there. 90% of the time, it's women initiating divorce. Interesting that women also have this fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to be trapped by a man that they've been sold when they're the ones leaving. Just to show you how deep the brainwashing goes and how little critical thinking women actually do. Because all you'd have to do is just, listen to that soundbite, oh, you're trapped by a man, and be like, well, that's not what's really happening in the world. Okay, done. No, it's like, oh, I have to internalize that. Women are always the victims. Me too. I'm the victim too. Ooh, and suddenly, the mind spin, we'll call it. A few months ago, a friend of mine's credit card got stolen. It was a total nightmare, wreaked havoc on their whole family. Financial security was threatened, everything. And I said, why didn't you get Aura? She should have. She has it now. Identity theft, by the way, is happening every 14 seconds in America. That's an astounding stat. On this show, I want to protect you from identity theft. I want to protect your privacy. I want to protect your financial security. I'm excited to share this partnership. I told you I'd never promote something on the show that I don't use. I use Aura for my family. My parents now use it. My extended family at large, my friends, everyone. Aura is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software, and it's all in one app. And I'm not terribly tech savvy, as you know. If I can do it, you can do it. It's super duper user friendly. Aura monitors the dark web for your emails, your passwords, and social security numbers, and sends alerts right to your phone or your email if something is going down that's shady. So if someone opens a credit card in your name, for example, Aura sends you a real-time alert. The VPN also lets you stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history, very important, and personal info safe and encrypted. You all know I talk a lot about the system, about the death of privacy. This is a way to protect that privacy. Check this out. Aura found my passwords on the dark web 40 times. 40 times. That's scary stuff. If you're curious how many times your passwords are on the dark web, and you should be, right? You got passwords in your bank accounts, all sorts of stuff you don't want people coming in and finding out. If you're curious, I want you today to go to aura.com/Jedediah. Also link below in the show description. And if you sign up right now with my link, Aura is going to give you a 2-week free trial. 2 weeks to see how many times your passwords are on the dark web. You can't lose. There's nothing to lose. And if you sign up, let me know in the comments. I want to know how many times your passwords were found. Come on, we got to know this stuff. I hope you'll take advantage of this amazing offer. The system may be out to get you. I am here to protect your privacy, your security, and all that. Aura.com/Jedediah. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Go find out if your passwords have been compromised. So she tells you it's women initiating these. And why? It's a great response because they yap with their friend. You know, the female friends, man. The female friends can be the worst, especially the ones trapped in marriages that aren't going well. I had a friend when I got married. My marriage has been, thank you, Jesus, a blessing, right? I adore him. This is a high level of attraction. Everything's gone really well for me. Thank you, Jesus. Again, I'll say. I had a friend when I first got married that was in a marriage that was not great, that she had decided to stay in. It was not healthy. It was sexless. There was a lot going on that shouldn't have been going on. Nobody was really saying how they really felt. The guy was kind of wimpy for a really long time. And then just a lot went wrong in that situation. And I heard a lot of, oh, this is going to happen to you. Oh, every little thing he would do was like, oh my God, did he just do, looking for, again, because she was hurting, going through a hard time, and wanted that hurt to be shared, right? Looking for a partner, like, oh, maybe if we both just have these marriages that aren't real marriages, and then we become like friends and buddies, we won't need them, and we could just like have a whole other life, we could go out and just like, maybe not cheat or sleep around, but we could just be young again and forget them, they'll just take care of the house or whatever, and we just don't need them. Just some kind of weird stuff, this is what happens all the time. Girls yapping at each other, and guys don't really do that. They're not going to their friends and yapping in the same way. And oftentimes they're busy because they're expected to pay all the bills, and somebody's got to work, and and the expectation is on them, as it should be. They've got other stuff to worry about, right? So yeah, they're not running in right away. You know, they're not yapping with the friend. Oh my God, do you believe she did this? If a guy did that, you'd be like, is he straight? No, honestly though, right? It's a very feminine way of behaving. Masculine men don't do that. They don't. And unfortunately what happens is they eat a lot of shit because they also in the same breath say, well, I'm busy with my work. I'm busy doing this. I'm busy doing that. And they don't speak up for themselves. Guys, speak up for yourself. Don't get taken advantage of. Don't be in a sexless marriage for 15 years because you're too afraid to speak up to the queen. Not okay.
And the studies show that men will marry at their educational level or below. Women will only marry at their educational level or above. And by diminishing men so much in terms of our education and professions, we've basically taken men's purpose away. They feel purposeless. And the other thing is, and I'm going to say, when men stay home to nurture their children. Now, remember, as mammals, we have defined roles. That is not instinctual for men to stay home and nurture their young. The issue there is that there's an inverse relationship between oxytocin and testosterone. The higher the oxytocin, guess what?
The lower the testosterone.
Yes.
And this is why I've read so many stats around men's testosterone dropping when they become fathers.
There was some studies to talk about how women's testosterone goes up when they're out in the work world fighting like men, that their testosterone goes up, and men's testosterone when they stay home goes down. Now, what that's doing for sex lives, because men have to perform, they have to get it up, to be crude. If your testosterone is low, you're not going to get it up, right? Which is why there's all this Viagra and these patches and supplements, and because it's not instinctually normal for husbands to stay home and nurture their children. And that's the inconvenient truth.
Okay. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised that this woman hasn't been banned and haunted by just saying something as simple as what's instinctual as a mammal, as a male versus a female, and just not being afraid to delineate those. Let's unpack this. Women are, she starts off by talking about education level. We've shown a lot of videos on this show where women will say, oh, don't go for a guy who thinks college is a scam. Don't go for a blue collar guy. Don't go for a guy who he has to, have gone to college. And all of this elevation of college, which is a sack of shit. Most of the time, college is a complete waste of time. We've talked about that. All of this elevation of the educated woman, which I will call the brainwashed woman, because really that's what it is a lot. You go through academia and it's just your mind is wrecked as a female, right? But all of this elevation of education has made it so that now all of these really masculine jobs, right? Let's say a guy doesn't go to college, but he learns, again, to do carpentry, guys are more inclined to be working with their hands, mechanics, plumbing, all of these industries that you can make a ton of money, by the way. You can do really, really well, especially if you own those businesses and you're a really hard worker. But a lot of these industries that are more blue collar oriented, meaning you work with your hands, those guys aren't running to get a liberal arts degree, and rightfully so, because they'd be a moron if they spent all that money on that instead of learning, how to actually do something. Well, women are looking at those guys and saying, no, you don't work for me. I need you to be college educated. I was told as a college educated woman that I need a college educated. Do you have a master's? This nonsense. And so the dating pool for them is shrinking. And now you have, it's a disaster, actually, what it's doing. Because you have a whole bunch of women who think they're too cool for school. And they're saying, well, now this guy's not good and this guy's not good. And that creates a further delay in terms of when they get married and when they have kids, which affects the fertility. It's a ricochet. It's a ball of yarn that rolls and rolls and rolls into a giant nightmare. Now, she talks about how men are starting to feel purposeless because in this dynamic now, women are being raised to be men, right? It's like, it used to be like that the guys were on a path and everybody understood what that was. You were going to work, you were going to go to school so that you could go to work. Not even school a long time ago, but then it became college and then it became work and you had to provide for the family. You had to make the money. This was your responsibility. Now that is also in society a woman's responsibility. Women are being told that that's their responsibility. Oh, you also have to go to college and you have to pursue higher education and you have to get the job and you have to make the money. Guys are like, what am I doing again? Because the roles are morphing. It's like you got two guys, two individuals on a male path. So the guys are like, well, what does she need me for? Really? What do I need her for? You're supposed to bring something different to the table. So if I've got a guy on a career climbing up on the career climb and, harnessing all of the stress that comes with that. And then you got a woman doing the same thing. It's like, aren't I supposed to be getting from you as a woman stuff that I don't bring to the table? And you're like, well, they're not even attracted to each other in large part anymore because they're like the same person. live in the same reality, the same life. It's basically an oversaturation of masculine energy and an undersaturation of feminine energy that we have now in society. So they don't know their role because they're like, what am I supposed to, if you're doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what am I supposed to be doing? Like it's very confusing, to be honest. Oh, this is very important, where she talks about what's instinctual. She says it's not instinctual for men to stay at home and nurture their young. It's not. That's what mom is for. Okay, it's not instinctual for men to do that. And what happens is when you have these, I always see these like stay-at-home dads. And do you ever notice, pay attention to the stay-at-home dads, really, because they're often very nice, but there's something that's happening to them. They're turning soft. They're kind of feminine. They're kind of like, they're kind of shrinking behind this role where the woman is out. Now imagine this reality. A woman is out. She's working. Testosterone is growing as a result of her having to be in a man's world. She's having to basically become a man, and her hormones actually change to become that. The testosterone climbs, and she's on the career climb, and that changes what? What does that change? When your testosterone climbs, now it's in a different ratio to your estrogen and your progesterone. So you are actually fundamentally on the inside becoming more masculine. And in the same breath, you have a guy at home whose testosterone is sinking because it has an inverse relationship with oxytocin. And oxytocin is something that rises when you're around kids. And it's like your happy hormone. Ooh, you're peaceful, happy. Women are supposed to up their oxytocin to regulate their nervous systems. But guys, when you up that oxytocin, your testosterone goes down. So you've got the woman with blown up testosterone, essentially internally becoming a man in many ways. And you have the guy with the shrinking testosterone becoming more and more feminized as a result of that. So what does that do? First of all, what does that do to male sexually, right? She's saying, well, he's got to get it up, right? And you need testosterone to get it up. Now you've got guys taking, testosterone at 30, and they can't figure out why. Well, are you completely feminized in your house and your relationship? Maybe that has something to do with it. Are you dating a boss babe that's basically like a man, and now you've become the woman? Is that affecting your hormones? Really ask yourself. You should not be taking testosterone at 30. Something's not right, okay? Average person, just saying. And the women have all of this testosterone, which then they're like, they go to get pregnant, and all their hormones are out of whack because they're basically a guy. If your testosterone's out of whack, your estrogen's out of whack. You'd be like, where are your female hormones sitting? If you're living a man's life in a man's world, you're basically a guy, right? You're the head of household, honey, and your hormones are suffering. So good on her, because all of this hormonal disruption is not just about toxins. We can talk about environmental toxins and we can talk about the delay, right? But some of it is just that even in your 20s and 30s, men and women are sitting in roles that are not instinctual for them. Men are sitting in feminine roles, women are sitting in masculine roles, and as a result, their hormones are all jacked up. They're not having any sex, and their house is falling apart. Maybe nature had it right. Maybe nature had it right with men acting like men and women acting like women and those different roles, and we're just effing it up. Ever think about that? Just saying. All right, that is all we have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. It's a really fun show. Hit that subscribe button for me right now. Do it. Ooh, I can see you. Imagine if I could. What are you doing at home? Just saying. All right, we'll see you back here soon. Love you guys.